Today's podcast is sponsored by MPB, the online pricing engine that provides the right price for any camera or lens. Get free kit pickup and get paid within days, all without leaving your home. How much could you get? Find out with a free instant quote at www.mpb.com/sell.
Hello and welcome to the AV Forums Movies Podcast for Monday the 3rd of July 2023. Tonight I am joined by Tom Davies.
Hi.
Mark Costello.
Hi Tom!
And Simon Crust.
Hello there, the home of Cyboob.
Someone asked where I was last time we did this, so here I am. Hi.
Yeah, Tom's here.
And we can do nothing but apologise for it. We're so sorry.
Yeah. Screw you.
No, we're sorry to you.
I'm a delight.
Sorry.
Oh.
This week we're going to argue a little bit about Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny and its CG, and we're going to talk a little bit about Avatar: The Way of Water and its CG. We're going to look at old school practical effects in Ronin's outstanding 4K release from Kino, catch up on some surprisingly classic crews in 4K, The Firm, Vanilla Sky in the UK, Rain Man in the US, and discuss loads of TV, if we have the time for it. Marvel's Secret Invasion, which everyone's loving, right? Right? Right?
No.
Jack Ryan's final season on Amazon, which everyone's loving, right?
Yay! Chris Pine!
Henry Cavill's final Witcher on Netflix.
Yeah.
Idris Elba's real-time Hijack on Apple. It's going well. And the end of Silo.
Yay!
Well, just thank God it's finished. Frankly.
Right, go on then, Mark. Well, let's dive into competitions, please. Save us.
Okay, so after all that good stuff, you can still win a copy of the Transformers 6 movie 4K Ultra HD Steelbook Collection, scale-electric models of Knight Rider's kit, and Back to the Future's 3. Back to the Future 3's DeLorean, not 3 DeLoreans. Damn it. Studio Canal's Le Mépris on 4K, which is excellent. Everyone should get that. A bunch of titles from my June top 10 Blu-ray roundup, and actually a couple of titles from my, it says upcoming, but it's newly published today, July top 10 Blu-ray roundup, with us hoping to nab, nine, Kaz?
Yeah.
9 of them for competitions? Well, let's hope we only get 6, or even 7, because 3 of them are terrible. So head over to avforums.com/competitions to enter, and all competitions are open to eligible AV Forums members resident in the UK as ever.
All right. Nice. Previous competition winners. Supporter Chozan won Cocaine Bear on 4K. Supporter Neil Jenkins won an official Scream 6 hoodie. Star supporter GoSub won an official Scream 6 hoodie, and star supporter Sam V 2001 won Brotherhood of the Wolf on Blu-ray, and star supporter Big Ben Chunk won Brotherhood of the Wolf on 4K.
Well done, all.
We've also got new patrons, Featherall and Mr. Sabvatan. So thank you very much for joining the Patron Club. Lots of goodies there. Let's have some movie reviews and news. Right, it's all Indy this week. Cinema, until tomorrow, actually, for me. Tomorrow. It's been confirmed. I'm seeing Mission Impossible tomorrow. But until tomorrow, Indy. 3 of us saw Indy on day of release, which is an AV Forums milestone. I don't think even back in our day, Si, we ever did all three of the team, any 3 of the team, going to see
the same film
a cinema release on the same day of release.
And we were the only 3 people who saw it.
You know what? I took my whole family in there, and it was empty.
Yeah.
It was really, really empty. Now, Mark, you reviewed it, so you get to say what you like about it, but we'll disagree because it's wrong. But no, tell us a little bit about what you thought. For those who haven't gone and read your review, of course.
Of course. Well, assuming everyone has read the review that I slaved over. No. Well, it's slightly better than Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, which, let's be honest, is all anybody really wanted. Well, maybe people wanted it to be an awful lot better, but sadly it isn't, because it still suffers from. It's the same existential crisis that film suffered from. What do you do when your action hero ages out? Well, even the Expendables had a better idea of what to do with their aging heroes than, unfortunately, the last two Indy films. Now, it's for all intents and purposes, it starts off like an Indy movie, de-aged Harrison Ford with some pretty good but then pretty wonky de-aged VFX. Shame the budget couldn't have stretched to his voice, but hey ho, no one noticed that. Hey, and it kicks off where he's after something or other, and he's beating up Nazis, and it's straight back to Dr. Jones, Nazi puncher. Hooray, job's a good one. However, then we flash forward to 1969, and he's old, he's broken, he's miserable, he's grumpy. He's actually Harrison Ford. He's no longer playing a character. He's just Harrison Ford at that point.
Old and grumpy. It sounds like the movies team.
Exactly. And wouldn't
What?
you know it?
Old?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the old bit that got him.
Get bent, Simon.
So then there is a Phoebe Waller-Bridge storms into his life just as he's getting happy to settle into the misery of retirement. And wouldn't you know it, he's back being hunted by slightly older Nazis, trying to find something mythical that no one really cares about because it's not really a good MacGuffin in any way, shape, or form. And we're off with lightweight and terrible CGI.
It's not the CGI's fault, Mark.
Well, no.
It's not the CGI's fault. The CGI was doing a good job. I'm just saying right now, all those people who are CGI out there, you deserve an Oscar. The people who are hardworking CGI out there deserve an Oscar. It's not the CGI's fault. It's the rest of the people involved in the film. The CGI can only do so much.
Thank you, Kaz Harlow, live from the VFX picket line. We will be returning to your normal broadcast shortly. So ultimately, cut a long story short, the good Ford, even though he's miserable, even though he's grumpy, God, he's so good. He's Harrison bloody Ford, for God's sake. And you know what? He clearly has an absolute ball with this character. You can see it in the marketing, which, you know, bless him, he's trying his hardest to sell the bloody thing, isn't he? But I think his love for the character shines through even in that. And it's there on screen. You'd be a really hard-hearted swine if you didn't get a little twinge of excitement just to see him in the fedora and on screen again. And actually, the bit that surprised me most was his chemistry with Phoebe Waller-Bridge. I can see how she proved to be a very divisive character. Is she a goodie? Is she a baddie? What is she? Who is she? Is she a Kathleen Kennedy stan? What is she? Oh, it's another strong female role shoehorned in where one's not needed. All that kind of rubbish. But ultimately, I liked that she was spiky. I liked that you didn't quite know where her motivations were at. In the beginning, at least. And I thought she actually had some real chemistry with Harrison Ford. And my favorite parts of the whole film were that really slow middle section where there's no action scenes. There's not really an awful lot happening other than those two talking and bickering and talking some more. I don't like the MacGuffin, the Antikythera, whatever it's called. It sounded great on paper, but they did nothing with it. There was no danger to it. There was no real interest to it. I don't mind the huge swing they took in the third act. Quite like, if you're going to go, go big or go home, go big indeed. But they didn't then make enough of it. It kind of felt really anticlimactic for something which should have been whoa, and it just wasn't. So ultimately, and the last said about the painful final scene. I can't even go into spoilers on it.
Yeah,
the less said about that, the better. I'm left with a film which doesn't. Well, everyone has said the one thing everyone agrees about this film is that it just didn't need to exist. and it still doesn't need to exist to some degree. I don't think it should exist, certainly not in its current form. It was a huge disappointment for me, even though I quite liked the characterization of it. But there you go. I'm sure you guys have a slightly different point of view on it, which I'd love to hear.
I mean, I don't necessarily think that everyone agrees it shouldn't exist.
I don't think it's like you said that it's better than the Crystal Skull, which is true for like half an hour, 40 minutes. And it's also worse than the Crystal Skull for like half an hour, 40 minutes. And it does a weird thing, like diving across that line of like, oh God. But it is never good enough nor bad enough to warrant any strong feelings about at all. Like I didn't feel disappointed. I didn't really feel anything. I like, that happened. That was a couple of hours of my life. And
2.5 hours.
Certainly was an Indiana Jones film. He was doing his thing, and now I'll go home.
But surely you shouldn't feel like that for Indiana.
No, you shouldn't. No, you shouldn't. I think I expected more from Mangold. I expected more from Spielberg coming out and saying it was the greatest Spielberg film he hadn't done. I think
him and James Gunn are having who can blow the most smoke up each other's arse at this moment in time.
You know what? Like,
The Flash is the greatest film ever. No, this is the greatest film ever.
But they really should consider that they could be positive about a movie without sounding like they're on drugs. I mean, it is possible that James Gunn could have said positive things about The Flash without in any way speaking ill of it, and with getting people, go and watch it for Keaton. He could have just done that, and it wouldn't have said anything bad. Best film Ezra Miller's done. Boom. He could have said loads of things that didn't involve like one of the best DC movies of all time. Like, really, don't stick of all time in there. Don't have Spielberg come on board and say, "Oh, I never thought anyone would capture the magic of a Spielberg indie flick." And then I saw Dial of Destiny and someone's done it. Damn it, they've done it. I mean, really?
They didn't.
Yeah, and it feels like Spielberg just rewatched Crystal Skull and then said that. It's like, sure, okay, the magic of a Crystal Skull Spielberg indie movie, which is pretty much what you get.
It's funny though, isn't it? Because when you think about Crystal Skull, like there are some huge misses in there, but they're only the result of some. Most of them are only the result of some huge swings. Like, well, let's do something really weird and dumb and like out there, which is like, cool. Okay, give that a shot. It fell in its ass, but fine. Give it. There is nothing in like this is like the safest of like safe indie movie. Like it's like a workshopped indie movie, like a focus grouped indie movie.
Until the final third.
Which is like, let's make no bones about it, awesome and the best bit of the movie, like by quite a long way. Do we not agree on that? I think it's awesome. I think it's great.
I wanted to like it better. I don't mind the swing. I just don't think they hit.
I don't think they stuck the landing on it. I really loved it. There's so many different places they could have gone. They probably did in reshoots. I have no idea, but I don't think they quite stuck the landing on it. And I did love what they did. I agree with you. Just don't think they stuck the landing. If they're going to go that wild,
yeah, exactly.
There's something at the very end. They got to make a decision, and I don't think whatever they decided was anything other than what you say by committee. But you know what? Let me rewind a bit. I enjoyed this.
Yeah, sure.
Enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching this. I don't have as big a problem with some of the effects work at the beginning. It was wonky, but there was a point in it. It was so much effects work. Like, it was for so long. It wasn't just a glimmer. It wasn't just Luke in a corridor. It was like half an hour of it that at some point in it, I was like, hey, Indy's back and he's young. Not at the beginning. At the beginning, I was like, this is a bit wonky, and there's no peril in this because it's just CG. It's just completely made up. But when he started being jokey Indy, classic, I am a Nazi Indy, that kind of worked for me because I started forgetting and remembering that's the kind of thing Indy would do, and that worked better than the peril scenes.
The thing is that I think you're right. I think in small doses it would have been spot on, but like every element of this movie is like twice as long as it needs to be. Like everything in this movie is twice as long as it needs to be. Every action sequence is like, just skip to the end now. Like there's a lot of adding of the action sequences right at the beginning. There's the train walking along the top of the train.
Yeah, they could have just gone for the train.
That could have been half. The motorbike and the car.
Yeah. They could have just gone the train inside the train.
It could have started at the point where Toby Jones is in the chair, hostage of the Nazis. Like you're cutting like 15 minutes out. Like all of the stuff at the beginning, just cut that out, start it on the train, have a bit of a scuffle, run over the roofs, and then end it how it ends. That's fine. That's absolutely fine. But it just went on. And then later you've got the tuck scene, and it just goes on.
Don't even double tuck scene.
Yeah.
And then they don't even finish it. They double down.
They do. Don't back down. Double down. That's the advice they've been taking. And then later on, you've got the eel scene, which goes on twice as long as it has to. Yeah. And it's just like every single time.
They had more CG eels than they expected to have.
but interestingly enough, I think they went back and they made all the same mistakes as Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. If you go back and look at the two films, they sort of have a strange sort of mirror, so they suddenly bring in characters from Indy's past who we're supposed to give a damn about, who we've never heard of, who make very little of impression. Here you've got your Toby Jones compared to, say, your Ray Winston, or even your John Hurt in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
I don't think it's that I don't think Toby Jones's appearance is that egregious.
Oh no, you're right. Sorry, Toby Jones has a quarter of John Hurt's bloody screen time. You've got Antonio Banderas. It would have been really nice to have some form of idea of a relationship.
I agree with Banderas. I thought Jones did a lot with what he had.
But this is a character who, the thing with Toby Jones is he was supposed to have had such a relationship that the film's other lead character is a goddaughter because of it.
He's just another Marcus, right? That's it. He's just a replacement.
Yeah, so exactly. So it's facsimile of a carbon copy.
Sure.
Your Crystal Skull, you've got your massive swing at the end, which again, I didn't mind the end of Crystal Skull because it was kind of, it's set in the 50s, what was big in the 50s, crazy ass sci-fi. Oh, okay, I'm down with that. But oh my god, they gave us the most almost banal version of crazy interdimensional aliens, and to some degree, without going into spoilers, they did exactly the same with this. Hooray, we've got an absolutely ridiculous idea, but let's somehow make it really small and disappointing.
It's funny though, because we're all like, oh, this bit was a bit bad, and this bit was a bit bad, and this overall, like, it's fine. It's like an okay movie. It's like when you sit down and start to talk about it, you can
pick it apart, but
very easily. But at the end of the cinema experience, I wasn't upset. I wasn't cross. I was like, oh, that was okay. Well, that was fine. I've watched the movie.
I think I enjoyed it more than I thought I would because you gave us your early reaction marks before I walked in. And so,
to be fair, you said you were going to be in the cinema at least 20 minutes before I sent my one word.
Oh, great. 20 minutes. That's a great window. That's fantastic.
What are you doing looking at your phone in the cinema, Cat? Are you one of
them? I was avoiding the trailer.
One of them?
Yeah, I was avoiding the trailers because I'd made it all the way to Indiana Jones without seeing any trailers, without knowing anything about it. And then Mark's like, sigh. It's like he's come out of Dial of Destiny. And he's just like sigh, and I look at my phone and I'm like, Great. This is going to be great.
But therefore, your lowered expectations enabled you to enjoy the film more.
I'm not thanking you.
There we go. You should thank me for so many things, but mostly that.
I enjoyed it. And I will say one thing. If the number of people who are in these cinemas is anything to judge its success by, I am putting a silver lining on this and saying no more. There won't be some kind of weird-ass spin-off, at least not for a few years. There won't be some young indie whatever. There's not going to be any more indie.
Well, Indy's got no cultural capital with, the I don't know what you call them, Zoomers, Gen Alpha. Like, it's got no they don't care.
Yeah.
They don't care. It's for us. It's for guys like us. And now we're tired of it. There's no one who wants or who will put up with any more.
But I'm kind of glad with that. I don't want anyone else but Harrison Ford to be Indy. He's 80. He turned up. I enjoyed him doing it. Best you could get out of an 80-year-old playing Indy. Happy he's hung up the hat. Great. I don't want this to be such a success that they go, let's have Maverick 3.
I don't think there's any fear of that.
Maverick 3? Can you imagine? That would be great.
Harrison Ford is Tom Cruise's dad. You heard it here.
Yes.
You wait. Shia LaBeouf for the win.
The thing is, we're seeing, it's not like we're short of Harrison Ford this year. We're seeing him again later, aren't we? As Thunderbolt Ross.
Is it going to be this year or is it next year?
I can't remember.
He's in Captain America. It's next year.
Yeah,
next
year.
It's not
building
called
up to it.
It's not called New World Order anymore, is it?
Brave New World.
Brave New World.
Something. Brave New World Order.
Yeah.
Brave
New Order.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's gonna resurrect Marvel.
I mean, so just bring it back to Ford just very quickly. So this morning I needed a palate cleanse. I needed a Ford palate cleanser.
Yeah, Frantic didn't work.
So, well, that's the thing. I'd never seen Frantic.
Firewall. That's what you want to watch. Get out of my house.
So I'd never seen Frantic. Thought Roman Polanski. What could go wrong? Yeah, it turns out a lot of things. But again, Ford is brilliant in it. And let's be honest, Ford has got a long history of being excellent in pretty crappy films.
Air Force One.
Air Force One.
Air Force One. You know, when you sign up for 3 Jack Ryan films, you do 2, you don't like the script of the 3rd, and then you go for Air Force One instead.
Get off my plane.
Yeah. That's it. Russian Gary Oldman.
Presumed Innocent is up for tomorrow morning. Can't wait.
Presumed Innocent's good. Yeah, but you got to go for the dodgy stuff, like Hollywood Homicide. You know, really.
No, just no. But look, it's great to have Ford. You know, it's just Indy should be, and it, you know, what would some wag in the thread said? Well, look, what kind of indie film would you rather have had?
No, your description was better. Yes, yes, yeah, I'd go with that. But I would have kept in some of the CG opening to have the action. I know you're saying no, but I would have kept in a bit of that, and then I'd have had the character drama based around Indy and everything he's lost along the way of his journey.
There you go. Jobs are good, and
yeah, it would have been.
Kathleen Kennedy, call me.
But you know, that kind of film wouldn't have made any money, whereas this
hasn't made any money.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right. In Kaz, edit home. There we go.
Next up, we're going to talk 4K discs.
If you enjoy the podcast on YouTube, then please like and subscribe. If you're listening to the audio version, then please leave us a rating on your podcast app. We invite you to email questions and feedback to podcast@avforums.com and join in with this episode's discussion thread in the podcasts forum at AV Forums.
All right, we're going to talk about 4K discs, and the big one is Avatar: The Way of Water in 4K. I mean, somehow ahead of the original Avatar, which is coming next week in 4K. I'm not really sure why they did that, but it's here. And Sai took a look at it, and it's gorgeous, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Brilliant endorsement there.
So Avatar, yes. What a strange and weird and wonderful world Avatar is. So when was the last one? 14 years ago. We reviewed it several times on site. I reviewed it myself using on a 3D disc when it was the Panasonic
Flagship
exclusive disc
yeah,
that you could only get. It was
with the player.
lent to us by a forum member, so I reviewed it because I was doing 3Ds at the time. And I thought, I think I probably got that somewhere. So I went upstairs and I had a look at my rack, and here it is. Look, the Avatar 3D Blu-ray. It's still unopened. So, I mean, I've seen the film I must have seen it. Well, I saw it at the cinema twice, I think, and I've reviewed the disc, the 3D. I liked it enough to buy it, but I've not liked it enough to watch it since. Okay, here's the 4K disc of the second one, The Way of Water.
It is open, right?
It is opened. Yes, it is opened. Didn't we have a live unboxing? We should have done. So yeah, I didn't have a huge amount of enthusiasm to watch the film because it's Avatar. It's been 14 years. The first one was okay. It was a rehash of Pocahontas or Dance of the Rules or whatever you want to call it. It was a spectacle, yes. So I went in with quite low expectations, and I was actually pleasantly surprised by it. Yes, it's incredibly long, and it goes in a very different direction, and it's an incredibly simplistic story. But I actually quite enjoyed it, weirdly enough. I think probably because it's so far away from this one in its storytelling. It advances the storytelling because it goes into family. The time is spent with the growing up, the growing of the family, which is quite nice, as opposed to just instantly shooting and squashing everything. So I quite like that idea. The running away, okay. The revenge motif, stupid and boring. But at the end of it, it was an okay film. I didn't, it's almost exactly what you were saying with the dysentery of dilatone or whatever it was you were talking about just now. Yeah, so it's okay. It was really good. I mean, the disc itself is out of this world, absolutely out of this world. Another Disney disc that doesn't have Dolby Vision on it, weirdly enough, and I don't know if that would have made a huge difference. Actually, really, I don't think it would have made much difference at all. I mean, you've got Dolby Vision on the streaming service. Disney Plus is showing it, and I haven't even put that on because I didn't think it necessary, because the disc itself is simply gorgeous. The reason I scored it a 9 and not a 10 was because it could have had Dolby Vision, and it didn't. You know, obviously there was an encode there somewhere because Disney Plus have got it, so that's why it's scored down. But it's absolutely incredible. It's flawless, faultless. You can't. It looks outstanding. I can't give any more superlatives. It looks outstanding. Have you seen it, Mark, in 4K?
Yes, I have.
Yeah. Would you agree?
Yes, I would, to a point.
Are you watching it on? You're watching it on projector, right?
Yeah, watching on a projector, which fine. It's got HDR10. I can't argue. The color reproduction is something else. The saturation, the density, the colors, the depth of it all is brilliant.
It is the best cartoon you'll ever see.
Yeah, I think for me though, and whether or not this is just God, I'm getting old and I'm
the
getting
lighting,
jaded.
isn't it? The lighting.
No, it was the fact that obviously because it's 99% CG, it doesn't quite have that last level of detail. You know, that a cracking shot on film, or even I'm thinking something like Top Gun Maverick. You know, in terms of it's digitally captured, but it's real life captured. It didn't quite have that last bit of detail that I've seen in other discs. But honestly, I just scored it 9.5 out of 10 because that's like saying I'm scoring it down because it was something it wasn't.
Yeah.
Well, hang on, that's a bit unfair, but
yeah. So I mean, I haven't seen it on projector. I saw it on my whatever it is I've got, my Panasonic
TV big enough to be a projector.
HZ 1000. And it's, yeah, truly amazing. Sound wise, Dolby Atmos track needs volume adjustment, as all the Disney discs do. Once you do that, it's another cracking disc, another cracking soundtrack. You know, again, you can't really fault it. The 3-dimension is used. It's got height, it's got surround, it's got ambience, it's got tremendous bass. When you're underwater, you sound like you're underwater. When you're flying through the air, you sound like you're flying through the air. The birds chirp, the foliage rattles, the guns pop. You know, huge explosions. It's amazing. It's truly a truly good track. So with that picture and that sound, you know, you can't really fault the disc in any way, shape, or form. It is a spectacle. So that means that the film or the disc lives and dies on the film itself. Unless you're one of these weirdos that just buys a disc because it looks great to show your mates. Yeah, it's. See. This is the ultimate test. Is am I going to spin this again? And right now, I don't need to.
If you're not, send it to me because I haven't watched it yet.
Just the last hour, though. Just the last hour.
The last well, I don't know. I don't know. You could argue that the last hour goes on a little bit long.
Well, about an hour.
Well, I mean, you start thinking about these things. You know, when he was being taunted by the other guy with his kids on the boat, and he went forward, and that's from that point on. That's when it really kicks into action. Where did all the other people go that were on their fish? Where did they go?
Well, they got their kids back, didn't they? So they
buggered off, did they, and left him to it. So when the thing's sinking, when you get in the Alpacine adventure, they didn't want to help. No, the whales didn't want to come in and give them a hand.
No, I tried starting this movie twice now. The first time it didn't get very far. The second time I got half an hour in with the kids, and they've never wanted to revisit it. And the only reason why I'd try a third time is if I have the actual disc. And it looked fantastic. Don't get me wrong, looked absolutely fantastic. James Cameron knows how to hire the right effects crew to do effects. Good effects.
He spends time doing it as well, doesn't he?
Yeah, he spends years
getting it right.
Yeah, good effects.
So, Say, are you watching the first one on 4K?
Yeah, he is.
Am I?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. So I don't know if you've seen any of the pre-release chat about it, but apparently colleagues on the other side of the ocean at their other place, you know, the place we don't talk of, have shown some screen caps, and it looks terrible, apparently. Artificial sharpening to try and up-res it to 4K. Now, obviously, it's one of these where if you look at any screenshot and blow it up 900%, it's not going to look great. But it's going to be interesting to see what that looks like in motion, because I'm now on the fence about picking it up. So I look forward to your review, Mr. Crust, who I can trust.
Yeah. See, the thing is, Cameron's known for messing up, isn't he? His old films, Terminator 2, for Christ's sake. You know, why DNR the hell out of that? When it was, I mean, it's grubby looking, but it looks fantastic. And then he does that to it, and it's now terrible. So, I mean, it's not without precedent that he might have done the same to Avatar. But we shall see.
We shall see. There is one quick question from our listeners, which is, and I think Mark's the only one who might be able to answer this, because I'm guessing, Mark, you saw it on streaming and on disc.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I haven't.
Okay.
It's a good question. Is the disc better than the streaming version? I would probably say no. I would think the disc could be better. The Dolby Vision layer may give you. No, I don't think it will. I mean, I don't think Dolby Vision will make that much difference, because you're dealing with a compressed source. So you know this hardware, the disc are. I don't think I've ever seen a streaming version beat a disc ever.
No, all of the ones on Disney, they've never been able to match up. The only thing they've had as an advantage is the expanded ratio, the sheer screen, like expanded size is all you got to hope for.
Yeah, I would imagine on this it's like pretty much what's par for the course. The streaming version has got Dolby Vision to help paper over some of its compression cracks.
Yeah.
Potentially, the fact that the disc doesn't have Dolby Vision, for starters, could mean that it just doesn't need it because it's got the bandwidth, it's got the disc space. I'd argue that where the disc will trump the streaming services in the audio.
Absolutely.
Fuller sounding, bigger bass, doesn't sound as thin. And again, this is just from experience, not necessarily speaking to this film in particular. But of course, it's the age-old question, isn't it? Where if you're going to try and put a number on it, the picture might be 5% better on disc, the audio might be 20% or maybe 15% better. If you've already got the streaming version, does that warrant a 25 quid disc purchase? Well, that's down to you. Only you can.
Yeah, I suppose or not you want to hold it in your hand and caress it and
unbox
have a
it
live
on
unboxing on
for 17 people to watch.
We're gonna have to talk about some other 4K discs, because this is gonna run into overtime. So Avatar, and we'll save the rest for next Avatar, which might all be doom and gloom and cries before bedtime. We've got a lot of Cruise, so I'm going to say we've got loads of Tom Cruise coming out. We've got the new Mission Impossible next week, and Paramount have done 2 UK releases: the Firm 4K and Vanilla Sky 4K. Paramount, never the most reliable of studios. I'm going to be polite here. They do a better job with new releases most of the time, but restorations and these times when they stick a 25th anniversary or 30th anniversary, what that means is we didn't do anything to encode it right, and we have no extras for you. It's just a banner on the top. I'm surprised they put the effort in to put a banner. The Firm looks pretty good. Neither of these is hugely problematic. The Firm looks pretty good, but it has classic kind of Paramount issues, which is that it can vary from shot to shot, and then you'll see pasty-faced characters, odd blocking artifacts, things that just don't make any sense. If you see the Firm on 4K, you'll notice there are some issues in it that pop up that shouldn't be there. But the film was great to revisit. It's a classic 90s thriller, and it's interesting to look at old Cruise. I say old Cruise, it's like 25 years ago and 30 years ago. And he did a bunch of different films at the time that you don't really notice were different until you revisit them. And Vanilla Sky in particular is one of them. I mean, it's very not Cruise, despite having his profile shot on the front cover. Is a very sad, melancholy, dark, kind of sci-fi-ish love story thing. I mean, don't want to give away any spoilers, but if people haven't seen Vanilla Sky, don't be put off by a whopping great picture of Cruise smiling on the front cover. It's not really smiling, and it's not that kind of movie. It's
ace, is what it is.
It
Kaz.
is.
It's ace.
It is. It's a great movie, and Paramount have done a good job with the disc. There's much less hesitation there. There are far fewer problems. It looks nice, cleaned up in 4K. They've done pretty well with the colors. It's not outstanding work for either of the discs, but it's the kind of set where if you got them in a 2 for 30, you'd be pretty happy, and you'd be very happy to have both of those in your collection. There is another Cruise film out, Rain Man, 4K, US. This was great to revisit as well. It's touch and go whether or not I love or hate the kind of cliche of the movie and the gambit of this character whose superpower is autism.
But was it a cliche at the time, or has it since become
no,
a cliche?
it wasn't at the time, and
exactly.
Yeah, that's why I really was very apologetic in it, because I was very kind to the film, because at the time this was trying to correct a lot of ignorance, and viewed through that lens, I'm a lot more forgiving. And beyond that, it's a great little road movie between two brothers trying to kind of discover each other. It's great, and Cruise is not Cruise in it. And I think for my money, Hoffman has the juicy, showy, Oscar-winning role in it, but Cruise really has to do the legwork to keep up with him and to offer a character who's really an outright arsehole to begin with, and has to go a long way to become even vaguely someone you're on board with, let alone sympathetic towards. And he does it. That takes some work. Lots of Cruise in 4K. Rain Man 4K is a great looking disc. But I'm going to say right now, none of these discs look as good as Ronin 4K. This is up there for one of the finest discs I've seen this year. Haven't got Avatar 2. Can't compare. It's
Yeah, but that's real film, isn't it?
Yeah, as remasters go, as shot on film. I mean, there isn't anything that's come close for me. But it's not just the encode, and it's not just the level of detail they're pulling from it. It's the fact that they haven't screwed with the color and tinted it wrong. The fact that they haven't. It doesn't feel like they've digitally sharpened it. It doesn't feel like they've gone nuts on artificial grain. It doesn't feel like they've done any one thing to take it down. And so you just have what looks like a perfect 4K restoration of a reasonably old film now, and I love it. Still love it.
Begs
David
the question:
Mamet
if that can do it, why can't everyone else?
Well, I know. I mean, Kino haven't exactly got a flawless track record themselves, but when they pull it off, they seem to pull it off in style. I think this is different from the one that Arrow got, and for their Blu-ray release back in the day, which was also a 4K remaster. And so I don't know where we're at with who supervises it and who decides and what kind of pipeline you create that ticks all the boxes to get to it. But it is one of those cases where they've just done everything right. They got the encode right. They've got every little bit of it right, and it's come out great. It's other instances where I suspect
Shame
they
you can't buy it, eh?
Yes. Okay. Well, that is the issue. But who'd have thought that?
Who would have thought that? Yeah.
Yeah, Ronin 4K from Kino. I get the disc, recommend it to everybody. People should be able to go in and click and buy it and import it. Sure, you have to import it from America. Amazon UK have made that super easy. They have it in their shop. You buy it as if it's in the UK, and they ship it on Prime like normal. Everywhere is out of stock. This puppy's sold. I wouldn't have guessed that at all. Yeah.
It's the beauty of practical effects, Kaz. It's what it is. It's the magic. It's the realism of it. It's what it is.
I mean, you know what? I watching the film, and sure, it's not flawless. Sure, there are some goofs. Sure, you can see some dodgy moments where the effects don't.
What is the colour of the boathouse at Hereford? God damn it!
I don't know what Hereford is. It's not a place in this country, so I don't think if there were a boathouse, it would be imaginary. So I'm going to say rainbow.
Takes me out the film. Why didn't Sean Bean at least have a word and say, "Oi, look, Bob"? Right, just so you know, we don't pronounce it like that, mate.
Because he wasn't doing too well his own in his own accent. So I think it's fair to say he wasn't going to go that far.
He was concentrating too much on his own.
Yeah, couldn't even do the draw it again thing. I mean, to be fair, De Niro couldn't draw it again. De Niro's replication of Sean Bean's drawing, or the original drawing, that was terrible. It's like Stickman. I could get my 5-year-old kid to kind of go and do it. But anyway, draw it again. I love David Mamet's script. I love the way that David Mamet always gets everybody to say things twice. You know, in everything. It's just standard. Draw it again. Draw it again. You know, it's like everything to him is just say things twice, as if you're, a classic wise guy. I got a lot of time for it. It was great revisiting it. I would have never pegged it to be a great 4K disc. I'm not going to talk about it anymore because otherwise we're not going to have any time for anything anywhere. But you're going to read a whole list of what's coming out on 4K that we have to look forward to in record time, Mark. Go.
Do I have to? Okay, right. Starting last Friday, Arrow won the weekend before it even began with the announcement of 3 massive genre bangers that are coming this September. You've got the original Ringu in a new 4K restoration.
Lovely.
Nice. You've got one of the most beautiful horror films ever made, Mario Bava's Blood and Black Lace. Ooh, but that's not enough. No, we get a full Perkins Psycho collection. Who saw that coming? 1 to 4, all in glorious 4K and a boatload of extras. Priced very nicely. Thank you very much, Arrow. They almost went and ruined it with a completely superfluous announcement of a Carlito's Way re-release. Why? But you know that's just for you, Kaz. Quite frankly.
Poster. I nearly said art cards, but my last set's got art cards, so I don't know what they were playing at.
No, exactly. Everyone admiring in the threads all those lovely and lucky people who've bought the new German 4K media books of the Jean-Claude Van Damme classic Bloodsport. Yeah. Stop it. If you've got it, don't unwrap it. Send it back, because Altitude have just announced a UK release. That's right. It's coming on the 21st of August. We might not have the same number of cover variants that the Germans got, but we've got a couple and a steelbook, so that's good to see. We've talked about streaming. For those that don't stream, morally, ethical reasons, hey, it's whatever floats your boat. Disney are bringing Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 to disc. I think it's the 7th of August. That's coming. As is Zorro. Hooray! Ooh. Not the good one, the slightly less good one. The Banderas Zeta Jones sequel, The Legend of Zorro, has been announced by Sony for August the 22nd, I think. But
we've had the good one already, haven't we?
That is the good one, Mark.
No, that's the Mask of Zorro.
You wag. The poke of Zorro.
You wag, Tom. But hopefully this one will actually come over to this side of the Atlantic, because the other one bloody didn't, did it? And did it come in an odd steelbook, or was that only in the US? It was only in the US,
it came in a steelbook.
I can't remember. Speaking of rubbish sequels that might only come to the States and not over here, the 25th anniversary edition of I Still Know What You Did Last Summer is coming in the States. Blimey. But swiftly moving on. Speaking of Kino, they've done their usual, making huge announcements, vague promises with not even a sniff of a release date for some upcoming 4K goodies. We've got the Monster Squad for you 80s kids of a certain age, as well as the very unexceptional IRA thriller with Jeff Bridges and Tommy Lee Jones, Blown Away.
I love Blown Away.
No Arlington Road.
Blown Away.
But hey, Kaz, just stop right there, because my rant's not finished yet. Hey, Kino, here's something for you. Stop announcing new films and get your arse in gear to actually release the films you've previously announced. Where's Face Off? Where's Leviathan? Come on, Kino. Get your arse in gear. Right, back to you, Kaz.
I mean, I agree, but I love Blown Away. But you had me at Face Off. I mean, give me Face Off first, and then Blown Away down here somewhere.
Exactly. And after my moan on the last poddy about David Cronenberg's Crimes of the Future, only being snuck out in the US on 4K on some little-known distributor that no one's ever heard of, Second Sight only went and bloody announced it for over here for the 28th of August. And not only that, I have the disc in my hand. I'm not showing you the disc because it's just a disc, but that's the press release. I have it already, which is ace. I haven't watched it yet, but Crimes of the Future finally coming out over here in a typically lavish 4K limited edition, the standard edition set from Second Sight. Great stuff indeed. Finished.
Nice.
That movie's an interesting one, isn't it?
Never seen it.
You've not seen it yet?
Not seen it.
I have.
I'm saving it.
I got like a weird Italian 4K for it, because I was just like, I'll have that, whatever. And you're in for something weird.
Good. As long as it's better than Infinity Pool, I'm okay with that.
Man, I've got that on the way as well, and I'm real keen to see that.
Have you not seen Infinity Pool?
Nope.
They're completely different movies, Mark. All I would say is that Crimes of the Future is no pre-Infinity Pool Brandon Cronenberg.
Nice.
Okay.
It's like Existenz type Cronenberg, which is like,
it is,
good, but not full,
Diet Cronenberg.
Yeah.
I don't think it was as good as Existenz. But
I think I might agree with you on that.
but it was still nice to have Cronenberg back.
Sure.
Yes.
I'll
give it that.
And Viggo Mortensen doing good work.
Yeah.
It's
a good
can't wait.
He hasn't. Yeah. Anyway, Next up is 5 minutes of streaming TV shows news. Go.
If you'd like to support the AV Forums podcast on a regular basis, then why not become a patron? Head over to patreon.com/AV Forums to sign up. You can also make a one-off donation through the Super Chat or via streamlabs.com/AV Forums. All donations help us to improve the website and the podcasts. Thank you to all our supporters.
TV, lots of TV. I've actually watched a lot of TV recently.
All the TV, Kaz. You've seen
I
it
have
all.
watched. I'm going to skip through all of the things that I've watched because I don't think anyone else has watched them. I started Jack Ryan the final season on Amazon.
Yep, seen
You've seen it?
I've seen that.
Oh, I have. I am not alone in this world anymore. I feel like I'm at the end of Silo.
On a scale of 1 to Chris Pine, Si, how is it?
Chris Pine being 2.
Not piney enough.
It's not terrible, but it's not the character who you think it's going to be. It's a TV version of Jack Ryan.
Mm.
You know, the show is still a little bit too early to know exactly where it's going to go. But I do want to say it's very interesting because I'm currently one episode away from finishing The Diplomat, which Kaz talked about a few weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
And whilst they are poles apart in what they say and what they do, the CIA aspect of it in The Diplomat is hilarious because it's how you think it would be. You know, it's actual spy work. It's talking about dealing with foreign agencies and interdepartmental swapping of intel. And then you've got Jack Ryan, and all they want to do is pull a gun and shoot people. You know,
It is, yeah.
really quite funny to go from one pretty serious, what you think is really what it's like, to complete fantasy, which is pretty much what Jack Ryan is at the moment. But it's so far it's not terrible.
It's got hints of clear and present danger to it.
It could go somewhere. Yeah, it could go somewhere.
If they do that right, it's I mean they've set it up as, you know, clear and present danger. There's whatever conspiracy is going on lands with Jack being essentially blamed for leaving a bunch.
Is it like Jack Bauer, where he saves the world every week, and then the next week people still don't trust him?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, but I mean, at least you see in Clear and Present Danger, Jack hadn't been around as a character as quite as much as Jack Bauer. I mean, he'd only saved the world from World War III once, and he'd only saved the entire royal family once. So really, he had a few more to go before getting there. And in Clear and Present Danger, essentially in the book, the premise was that Jack gets used as a scapegoat to leave some special ops guys behind deep in the jungle in the middle of an operation against Colombian drug lords. And although this series hasn't gone down that route, they've manufactured a way of getting that way, because they kind of had themes of this in the second season of Jack Ryan, but they didn't do it right. They didn't take it to fruition. They got a chance of maybe doing better with it. The trouble is that my biggest problem with this series is, and I've got tired of it the final season, is eventually they put him in tack gear and have him jump off a helicopter and shoot people.
Exactly, that's what I said. It's a TV version. It's not the character.
Yeah,
it's kind of got its life of its own, and you have to kind of live with it.
Yes, because Harrison Ford was great at not picking up a gun, shoving people into burning SUVs and trying to drive backwards as rocket launchers were being fired at him. I mean, he did action without looking like special ops. And John Krasinski's very enjoyable, and he can do the like subterfuge. But you know, they must look at him and they go, yeah, put on the tack vest. You know, go on, just for old time's sake, your back will be fine. Take a couple of Vicodin, jump off that helicopter, you know, and he does, and he's good doing it. But the trouble is, he's indistinguishable from all the other without remorse born whatever. You know, Jack Ryan becomes a nothing as soon as you allow the
generic
character
spy man.
Yeah. So that started, and something to look forward to, everybody out there. Which has also started. I mean, Yeah, okay.
Not seen
No
any
one's
of
seen it, so I'm just going to say this is the end of Henry Cavill's run as The Witcher, and I can't see he is the last reason why anyone would watch this series. It has been enjoyable, relatively high budget, long form fantasy, relatively adult, but
boobs.
side,
Okay.
but it hasn't really done anything for anyone in the vein of Game of Thrones, despite trying to do that kind of world
boobs.
building. Yeah, it hasn't really got anything really to it. And Cavill is really committed to the role, but has ditched it. This is the end of his run, and they're replacing him with a Hemsworth. I think, I don't know which.
I think he was ditched, wasn't he, rather than he
No,
ditched it.
no, I think he left. Yep. DC are on the line. They want me back, chaps. Right. I'm gonna ditch you, Netflix. I've got a better gig. Oh crap, Netflix. I'm sorry.
Well,
Can I come back? Oh.
He's going off to make a Warhammer movie, TV show. Boy, oh boy. I love how nerdy Henry Cavill is. Like he loves all this stuff.
Did you see the video of him building his gaming PC during lockdown?
No, but that's adorable.
Yeah.
More of that.
He's fabulous.
Literally an hour of him building a gaming PC, and he's just so into it. It's great.
More of that.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Yes. We love you, Cavill.
So yeah, I mean, I'm not going to recommend that. If people are watching The Witcher, you just got to be sad that the only reason why you're still watching it is going to go in like half a season's time. But it's more of the same. If you like it, it's more of the same. And I quite like it, so I'm going to stick with it. Hijack, Idris Elba. Anyone seen that?
No.
Jesus, guys. So Idris Elba, and a pleasant surprise from Kill List Neil Maskell. He turns up.
Bull, more importantly. If you're not seeing Bull, go see Bull. Awesome.
He's good in everything. He was amazing in Utopia as well. How good was that?
He was great in Utopia. That was good until they remade it. Idris Elba in a real-time thriller. We've never seen real-time thrillers before. Only 4. So it's enjoyable hijinks. It's a plane hijacking done in long form over a 6-hour flight. Elba isn't playing an action hero, so it gives it a slight edge. He's got to find a way of dealing with the situation sort of negotiator style, but not quite. And so far, he's been quite good at playing the game. We'll see how long, whether they can make that last. But the first 2 episodes were pretty enjoyable because you really expect it to be about Idris Elba fighting people, Passengers 57 style, and it isn't that.
Without having seen it, real-time TV is played out. Like I have no desire to watch someone like go through time in real time on TV. Like I did that for so many years with 24, and every single time, like every season, it becomes less and less bearable to be like, yeah, okay, so I know
never
that
real
I've got
time though, because they never go and have a wee, do they?
No, never.
In 24 hours, not once did they go for a wee.
Yeah, he didn't used to eat either. He didn't used to sleep. He didn't used to... Anyway.
He also used to drive across LA in like 10 minutes.
Really. So there's that. And Silo, anyone finish Silo?
Yes.
No, sack that off as well. I can't be bothered.
Yes.
So you know what? I loved the first 2 episodes, and then I really got bogged down in the middle because I felt like the character was being a bit myopic and hadn't... I mean, the premise, what the hell is outside this silo, seemed to have been abandoned by everybody in favor of, increasingly tawdry whodunits.
When do they get to the super mutants?
Yeah, quite.
Season 4, Tom.
No.
Season 4. God damn it.
When does dog meat show up? That's what I want.
So it didn't work for me, but I gave it a brief respite, and then I boshed like the last 3 or 4 episodes in a row, and I loved them. I really enjoyed the way it went out, and I felt like they could have turned this into a stonking 6-episode series that I would have really enjoyed. I was all the way invested at the end.
Yeah, it was too long, wasn't it?
It was too long. I felt it was too long. So,
the one thing I'll say about it is it's well and truly set my expectations for Foundation Season 2.
Foundation got better as it went on, for sure. It got more engaging as it went, and it was never great, but I'm sort of vaguely interested to see where it goes from now on.
I would not have watched it, but Kaz has asked me to.
I
God damn
Is
have,
it back on?
I,
Is it season
I have
2?
not watched any Foundation because
Season
I
2
heard,
starts a week on Wednesday, Tom.
I
Sorry.
heard, I heard they were planning like 5 series or something of Foundation, and I started watching like the first episode, and I thought, you know
It was
what,
a
I'm just going to
slog.
wait until there are 4 or 5 seasons out, and then I'm going to start watching it then, because I can't be doing with another. We'll play it slow.
So getting back to Silo, yes, I stuck with Silo. And like you, Kaz, I thought the first 2 episodes were great, and I absolutely loathed the remaining 8. And I hate watched it all the way through in the vague hope that the final scene would make those 8 hours of torture anywhere near passable. And you know what? It wasn't. So yeah, very, very disappointing. Just said nothing, did nothing, went nowhere. God damn you, Apple. I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm,
if you'd have
I'm not
whipped
angry.
out
I'm just
3 or
bitter.
4 of those middle episodes,
Yeah.
just gone 1, 2, 7, 8, 9, 10, I think it would have been great.
But would it with that ending?
Well,
we-
yeah, but that's the
we
whole
know it's
point,
gonna
isn't it?
get
He's setting it
canned.
up. I mean,
Yeah, but we know he's going to get canned. There's no way he's going to get a second season.
It's got a second
it's
season.
got a second season.
We'll see.
Right. So, no, it already has the
see.
second season.
until it's in my eyeballs, it doesn't exist.
Oh my god! After all that, how about how terrible it was? And you hate watched it. You're gonna watch season.
No! I'm going to hate watch a whole other season just to see the super mutants. God damn you, Tom! That's
They
your
will.
fault.
They will show up. I guarantee it.
I tell you what, we're hate watching is Secret Invasion, aren't we? I mean,
Oh my God!
I watched anything but the first episode. It was
The
all right.
second episode is just so god awful as
Do you know
well.
what- do you know what? Can they just give the AI who did the opening credits the script for the next few episodes? They can't be any worse. Jesus.
Defo. We
It's
get.
not about the
speaking-
script. It's about the
speaking
right
of-
VFX studio.
Well, do you know what? Speaking of de-aging, minor spoilers. There's a de-aged Samuel L. in it for a brief stint, like a little 1995 flashback. Because at the start of the second episode, they basically recap everything that happens in Captain Marvel. Because you can't remember what happens in Captain Marvel. I can't remember what happened. So we needed that. And then there's a little bit extra as well.
Is
And,
that Jude Law in it?
yeah, no. And they don't have him move around too much, so it looks quite good. And he doesn't have like the 80-year-old voice that that Harrison Ford has. He kind of just has had the same voice for a very long time. So
80 years.
yeah, and so it still works.
And in the 90s, he actually looked older than he does now. So,
Yeah,
have you seen him in Patriot Games and Jurassic Park?
in Jurassic Park. Okay, yeah, I'll give you that. Yeah,
Been terrible.
I think the problem with Secret Invasion is, on paper, it sounds great. But the reality of it is it's a dour, grimly realistic spy thriller.
well,
Great. That's
yeah.
not a thriller. And it has none of the MCU magic, anything. It's got none of it. So it is exactly what it sets out to be. A
way they
dourly,
keep-
miserable,
Yeah.
conspiracy, mild drama.
But the conspiracy stuff doesn't work at all
No.
because there is no tension. Because every time they say a Skrull could be anyone, and then they show you a picture of like, and here's someone in the news. It's like, well, they're a Skrull. Oh, it turns out they are. 2 seconds later, not like. As I was watching the second episode, a couple of people, 3 people, showed up, and I was like, it's gonna. A couple of episodes down the line, they're going to be a Skrull. Nope. 5 minutes later, they're a Skrull. They've got no interest in sustaining any tension whatsoever. They're just like, just set them up and knock him down. Set them up and knock him down. And it, oh my God, it's so boring.
It's. I mean, it does. It just. Apparently, next week we get to find out why there's no Avengers on the scene.
They don't. They don't want to get him in. They don't want to make a big incident out of it, Mark. It's only a secret invasion.
You know what wouldn't surprise me is if bloody Sam Jackson came out and said, "You know the reason why there's no Avengers here? Contract negotiations." Wouldn't bloody surprise me if that was the reason why they gave, because it's gritty and it's authentic. Piss off.
Every time someone shows up, you can say they're probably a Skrull. And you've got like, oh, you'd probably be right. I mean,
It's a drinking game.
You'd be pissed by 10 minutes in.
yeah, you get smashed on that game. And because they have no interest in sustaining, like, they might not be a square. It's just, yes, they definitely are. Like,
Jesus
here is a new
Christ,
character.
man.
Yes, they definitely are. Here's an old character. They probably are too. Doesn't matter either way. I don't care.
But you know what I'm noticing more and more in the TV? It's this notion of the flashback. It's this notion of that they'll set a story off, and then suddenly the story will stop while you spend 1 or 2 episodes now looking back, and it's like, well, hang on. You left me over here. I want to know what's going on over here. I don't care about the flashback because I know obviously he doesn't die because he's here. Let's crack on over here. And this notion of fracturing the storytelling in the hands of people who do not know what to do with it just is the opposite of creating tension where there should be. And I've noticed that more and more. I'm so mad.
And then you've got,
So
we
mad.
talk about the problem with CG. They haven't got the problem with CG in this. They've got the problem with buffy ass looking green masks on everyone. It's absolutely awful. Like, you can tell their budget's been slashed.
And one of the locations for one of the key scenes in episode 2, it's an abandoned room above a
In
pub
Russia.
in Brixton. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Says it all.
Yeah,
We're in
and
the
it's
top
like-
room of a pub in Brixton.
And they're all like, oh, and these are the real hardcore Skrulls. These are the purely like, this is like Skrull nationalism. But they're all still going to look like humans because we can't afford makeup for everyone.
Oh, yes. So, yes, I am going to hate watch the rest of this.
Oh,
Yeah, I
God.
probably am
This
too, to
sounds
be honest.
great. This sounds great. I've only seen the first episode, and you're really selling it to me, guys.
It could get better, but it won't.
But
Not
you
interested.
know what? Again, it did that first episode, and the first episode ended on a cliffhanger where you thought, okay, where's it going? And the second episode, half of it is a sodding flashback. I don't care. Sorry.
We get a bit of Olivia Colman in it again, so that was nice. But I think if you want to watch Olivia Colman cameos, just wait for the Bear to come out in the UK.
Yeah, Bear's great. Bear's great. And Olivia Colman's in the Bear.
Yeah.
There you go. My
Yeah,
recommendation for everyone to watch who hasn't watched it, but Tom has watched it, is Nimona. Go watch Nimona. Everyone at home, go watch Nimona.
Yeah,
Like
that's well worth watching.
real daring, proper daring, but low key daring, so they get away with it.
Yeah, it's not fairly ordinary story. There's nothing new or exciting about the actual story itself, but the way it's told and the characters it employs to tell that story is almost revolutionary.
Yeah,
It's great.
So basically, I've wasted an hour on Secret Invasion this
Mhm.
week and an hour on Silo, and I should have
Mhm.
watched Nimona.
you should have watched
Absolutely.
Nimona.
You know
Good
what?
fun.
You should have
And
watched
you
that.
lot mock me for my hatred of TV. Well, there you go.
I mean, I did do a review.
It's too
Oh.
late by then. I'd already wasted 2 hours. Oh, I don't read the words, Kaz. I just
Look at the numbers.
Look at the
Look
number.
at the
Look at the
number
number.
of pictures.
It's like, what more? I couldn't. I mean, it's not. Yeah. Okay. Coming soon.
Tight 60 team. Tight 60.
Coming soon. I got Mission Impossible. I'm
Swine.
actually, yes, I know. It's actually going to be a bit of an impossible mission to see it, but I'm going to do it. And I'm fingers crossed we're going to have an early review up on site. Mark is watching all of the Bruce Lee movies for the very first time in
Oh,
4K.
Oh,
Including
that's-
Enter the Dragon.
no,
Oh,
I've
wait,
seen-
no.
I've seen-
No, yeah,
He's seen,
that's
there's
only
the one that's not in 4K
Yeah.
until later. He's seen that, but he's watching all the rest, and he's already decided they're sixes. And he's also got Scream 6 in 4K, which I guess is good.
Already watched.
Yeah, already watched it.
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all right.
He's got the better Last House on the Left version.
It's not
coming.
better. It's just they're both rubs.
That's just Harlow. This thing, no, don't rise. Don't feed the
Oh,
troll,
The
Tom.
sorry,
God.
did you say far superior?
Who is asking for this? Like, oh, I mean, it's got Jesse Pinkman in, hasn't it? Aaron Paul, isn't it?
I have no idea. I just know you hate it, so I said it was great.
Shut up.
I watch any old crap, and even I don't want to watch that.
Oh, it's rubs.
Again.
Oh man, it's so garbo. What a waste of a 4K release. Oh my god.
That's coming in 4K from Arrow, and Weird Science 4K. Boom. Again from Arrow. Crimes of the Future 4K from Second Sight, and Time Bandits from Arrow.
Oh
Yep,
God,
yep.
have I got that as well?
No,
What?
I'm
No, I've-
skipping ahead.
No,
Si's got Time Bandits,
Yeah, there we go.
Truman Show in 4K. It Follows. Has It Follows turned up yet?
I'll have that.
Okay. It Follows is on its way from Second Sight.
Nice.
Si.
That's a real
And
good
I
Wicker
want
Man.
that.
Wicker Man.
And that.
Looking out.
Are you just getting the
With-
check disc side, or do you get the pop-up box for Wicker Man?
Check
Gotta
discs
buy it
with,
for the
with
pop-up
art
box.
cards. Yeah.
Come on,
It's already pre-ordered.
pop-up.
God damn. I get Last House on the Left, and Si gets Truman Show, Time Bandits, It Follows, and The Wicker Man.
Yeah, but you
God,
got
I need to get.
Crimes of the Future and Weird Science. Right?
Where's my agent? God damn it!
You get to watch the whole of Foundation season 2.
Can't wait. It can't be worse than Silo. Can't be worse than Silo.
For anyone with any doubts, this is not the Nicolas Cage Wicker Man. This is not
it's the real one.
This is
The one and only.
yeah, not the bees. Right. Let us know if there's anything we've not covered that you think we should cover, like Nicolas Cage's classic, The Wicker Man. That's it for the AV Forums podcast this week. My thanks to the movies team, Mark,
Hello, bye. Nice to see you all.
Tom,
Hello, everyone.
and Simon.
It's been great to be here.
If you've enjoyed the podcast, please give us a like and subscribe to the channel, plus hit the notification bell so you don't miss out when we publish our live streams, product reviews, and more. You can follow us on Twitter and Facebook and bookmark avforums.com for the latest reviews, news, and videos. Plus, why not leave us a 5-star rating on whichever service you choose, if they allow it, but only if you enjoyed the show. I'm Cass Harlow. Thank you for watching and listening, and join us for another podcast soon. Boom!